On with this video, I just want to finish few more words in respect to Serbian President Vučić, Aleksandar Vučić. It was like this. Zoran Muđa, psychiatrists who have handled me in Ljubljana, brought me to the Serbia. Vučić was here, in this village, in this house, and have suggested me under MK Ultra, pointed me out some people here, I guess Serbian people, on how they're going to take me, how they're going to abduct me, and so on and so forth. Zoran Muđa took me to Serbia. I believe it was Serbia. I think it was Serbia. I think it was Serbia because he subjected me to various methods and people did appear as Serbian, it did appear as Serbia, and have used very traumatic scenario on me. I think individual is totally abnormal. He suggested me on how he's gonna hijack me to Serbia, that for sure they're gonna hijack me to Serbia, on what he encouraged, like got me into some kind of room, into some place, and then what he would do is, I don't know, was it, the next day that wakes you up, or the next day, I don't really know what went on, but it appeared that he made a scenario with Muđa, that is, if I tried to run from Serbia, and that there was no way, that I just disappeared from Slovenia, and tried to run from Serbia, and then there was no way. Suggested me that there is a tracking device in me and stuff like this. Then it all ended with whatever he had in his head. Is obviously, I don't know, was it situation in Ukraine that would be, or was it situation in Kosovo? I have no idea what in his head was, but he suggested it ended with like, no, when it's all over, when it's all finished, we have completed everything, meaning that like you wouldn't be able to report, you were not capable to report anything about anything. He suggested, no, we no longer need you, you can have a pill, like some kind of suicidal pill or something like this. This is Aleksandar Vučić. Putin, on the other hand, it was almost like a parallel thing. Apparently got me to the Russia and really did appear like a Russia. I think they call now this FSB, what used to be KGB. And those, they orchestrated like a whole circus, how they got me, and I don't know what. And then on what he interfered on how, it's actually really not my fault and shit like this. I mean, stupid as it gets. And then they have some woman whose name I'm not gonna mention, which suggested, but you wouldn't do this, you did, you betrayed Russia and stuff like this. I mean, totally, and yeah, they all suggested, just like Serbs, like, you're just going to be somewhere in Russia or Serbia and just nobody would really ever know. None of the people that visited this country, this house, dealt with the Putin dealt with them from the West, would ever know about where you are, this and that. This is what this was. By the way, just watching the YouTube about Aleksandar Vučić, I can tell you this individual is actually what I would refer to as a Chetnik. Chetnik is about the same like a Ustasha. Ustasha were neo-Nazi collaborators that murdered Serbs, Jews in Croatia. Chetniks, on the other hand, did exactly the opposite. They murdered Croats and Romas and Jews and so on and so forth. And it is quite evident who he is, because he's a very good friend of the Šešelj. Šešelj was in Hague And this is individual who have engaged in a genocide against Croats, Bosnia, and so on. And so he didn't hide his emotions on YouTube. They did video recording him when he was back, when he was younger, and you can see a lot of people very, very dissatisfied with him. And so far, every video that I have seen about him, people claim that he is really placing his own interests over the interests of the Serbian people. By the way, I think the Serbian people are very good people. There is nothing wrong with the Serbian people. Serbian people are great people. They need to be assisted, but what needs to be assisted is the right people, not the politicians that are just placing their own appetites before the people's interests. If anything, Borut Pahor ever did, and this is what really changed my mind about everything today. You see, I know all this stuff I remember from MK Ultra. They brought here Serbs, I think from Kosovo, or maybe, I don't know, maybe from Bosnia, I have no clue. In 2005, I think it was, when they got me here, under MK Ultra, they transferred me from overseas. And there is an area here in the city where these poor families, these relocated families were, and it was very difficult for them. Very difficult to establish here in Slovenia. And these people more than deserve chance here in Slovenia, because Serbs have saved numerous Slovenian lives in the World War II. We owe Serbs. These are our brothers and sisters, to make myself clear. And so if anything Borut Pahor ever did good in his lifetime, so I really don't like this individual. But what if he ever did anything good, today when I saw those families over there and they look at me because they know who I am and so on and so forth. If he ever anything did good, he did help these people obtain some kind of fund from Slovenian government, so these people were able to establish themselves here with the families. He did so. And I don't know, I'm just sorry I took such a hard line, and I just don't like being used like this. I don't like to be used to spread some kind of anti-Semitism and even gesturing a war on Ukrainian people, on what I realize actually that you know, it's not really Jews, and you know, it's actually really, it's not even Russians, it's actually this idiot Putin and Vucic and stuff like this that are doing this kind of stuff. I don't like being used like this. And so I apologize. I apologize to the Russian people and to the Serbian people. I took the wrong turn. Again, I just apologize. I don't know what to go from here. I don't know what to say. I'm going to try to make up for these things. The point here is that the politicians like this do more bad things than good things. Vucic, very, very unpopular in Serbia, amongst the Serbian people, amongst the real Serbian people. Very, very, very unpopular. And people that I watched talk about the things, real Serbian people, they have a very, very realistic vision on things. I did not expect to see anything like it. I'm going to post some on my news site so people can see, people that understand, I don't know, Serbian language. But individual is, he really is not a, I mean, they don't want him. You know, this individual is just, as they say, he's just lazy, no good. And, you know, just in that circle of those privileged people, people that are entitled to make the decisions, regardless of how violent and divisive those decisions are. I'm talking, of course, of people like Putin. People who create the worst in the people to afterwards, you know, call them traitors and stuff like this. This is what I'm talking about. So Serbian people are good people. They're on the right track. They just need the right kind of people to take situation over and guide the country. That's basically how I see it. Okay, this is April the 22nd, 2018. And I'm just going to demonstrate something. I got these 3 charging plates opened all simultaneously, but it appears that this one not only did not come with what should be I believe, either wireless charging, actually adapter or power cable. It includes charging plate, adapter, or power cable. So no adapter and no power cable for this one, and it seems to me this thing also is broken. So this one here, this plate here, as you see, is charging, and we're going to do the same thing with this one here. Is charging, right? It's totally evident it's charging. There you go, it's charging. Now, as I'm going to do the same thing with this black one, you can also see like a little light inside in there. It's not going to charge. It's not going to charge anything at all. And so it's safe to make the conclusion that this thing did not only come without a power cable, adapter, but it looks like also was destroyed before it got even in my hands. Regardless of basically how I would want to position this exactly on this thing here, this thing simply does not work. I want to make sure there's not going to be any suspicions. It's just really not working. No matter what I would do, it would not, I cannot get one work. It doesn't matter how I position one. Okay, so it seems to me that this thing was already destroyed before I even got one in my hands. Stuff was already stolen from. And basically that's all I want to say for this.
Had about maybe 4 or 5 of this, but I gotta say all of them were at one point modified from inside. The individual who boasted about this stuff and have suggested me on the MK Ultra basically mentally challenged me, let's say mentally challenged me, because he's mentally challenged himself. He was, I think, in economic high school here, and then he continued to, then he proceeded with Fisicultura, gym, for teaching purposes in a school in Ljubljana University. There was a neighbor, Aleš Berger, who was so stupid back in 2004, 2005, that he believed that I would not be even capable to realize basically what was done to the adapters like this, to the plug converters, if you like. He or Don Nicolens would go and inside appears to have bent, you know, wire lead, I don't know how in English properly I would express myself, and you know, frankly I didn't have a time to play with this stuff. I was concentrated on other things, on news and media, which Vladimir Putin would not want me to report about. What they wanted me to do basically downstairs for the last 6 months, they wanted me to totally forget about the news media, and they wanted me to concentrate on stupidities like this, basically on what is doing, what they're doing, and then they incited, you know, how I should just go and report about the stuff they're doing to me, so that basically nobody would watch my news sites, and you know, I would really come out like mentally disturbed individual, which in reality is Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is a paranoid schizophrenic, and very dangerous one, a very mentally sick individual is. And I just want to portray here, I want to document, I want to demonstrate what this idiot, whom he had hired here in Slovenia, to do this stuff like this, and wanted me to blame basically Americans, Israelis, and so on, which did, you know, part of the global neo-Nazi deal they are. And so what they would do is basically anything possible to protect him. Basically redirect attention to them, where is more control of the world than what it is in Russia. In Russia, you know, I don't know how much, but chances definitely were that Putin could be stopped. And so this was the biggest fear of Schwarzenegger's, Stallone's, and other people, Netanyahu, and so on, who have actually placed these neighbors here on a pay scale. And not on a pay scale like you would get like some kind of money, like on a bank account, but this was the case from the beginning with the Don Nicolens. But they did some other stuff. What they would do is they would give son from Donicolans, they would give him, basically would give him jobs, business, contracts and stuff like this, deals, shoddy deals, money. I don't know how he would get one, maybe even through the Sweden or something like this. Well, Berger, I remember, they would give him some business stuff that he could run his own companies and stuff like this, online companies. This, I don't know a single thing about Alois Berger, son of the Miroslav Berger. That's a corrupt, criminal, political tour boy, host of politicians here, next door. I don't know anything about whether he does have the companies, his own companies or not. The only thing I can say is that, yeah, it's pretty much what I was suggested by some people, is the case. Is it or is it not? I do not know. They suggested all kinds of scenarios that if they would have to immigrate to Moscow, they wouldn't have to worry about. They get the people like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, also in Moscow, would give them, finance them companies and stuff like this. So these people basically nothing to worry about. Live like multimillionaires here, have a wonderful life, and cost shit like this on behalf of the big theater from Kremlin. About 4 or 5 like this at one time. I ran out of all of them, all of the alternatives, everything. Then I had to start to repair them, basically.
Whatever was left to me basically is the card that I have inside. That's just Intenso 8 gigabyte. Then I have another one 16 gigabyte, but the disk cards no longer are now working the way they did. It's not because they would be old, but because this individual have played with them. He suggested that he would play with them. One card, Kingston, bought 2 for 25 euros about 2 months ago. One stolen, and basically another one is just so-so. I would not even bet. He did the same pretty much as he have done on those Evo cards. You could not read the data and stuff like this. It's very risky to transfer information on that. The card was misfunctional totally, then it started to work, then the other card disappeared and shit like this. So just plays with the stuff like this, basically with your sanity. And they told me on the MK Ultra, they told me precisely that when they talk to you shit like this, you gotta ask yourself, you ask them, why don't you just go then, and just destroy me? And it was like everything at once, since they talk such a shit. Because individual cannot really believe how sick these people in reality are. So, yeah, you ask yourself, even when you're dropped up, and you do ask yourself, and you ask them, why don't you just go the way you talk so stupid and basically destroy me everything at once? And his answer was exactly. Because if you do it at once, there is no effect. But when, you destroy little by little, like this, drive an individual crazy, basically, then there is the effect. The individual who explained to me this very well, and was happy to explain me this, was Mitya Weber. That's basically my niece's husband.
His principle is outstanding, actually. It really is outstanding, and this precisely is his principle. If it can be done to you, it is completely okay. Alright? That's all there is, because you obviously, according to his logic, you allow it, you agree with it, you didn't stop, so it's your fault that it was done to you. This is how his logic operates. If it can be done to you, it is okay.
What we have here is basically the result of trauma, stress. Individual in charge for playing with my computer is another neighbor whose name I'm not going to mention. I'm not going to mention his name. This is ex-IT guy, was employed in a local company here, but he suffered an injury, became a handicapped person, and believe it or not, this individual really tried to find employment across Slovenia, like I did in 2006 when I came back from the US. Traveled whole Slovenia in hope to find another employment, anything, and could not find one because he was not enough qualified and also was injured. But he got this kind of employment with other two neighbors. So he was in charge. They trained him for the computer area. Really don't like his mother, to be honest, and I don't like her because she's just really two-faced. But as far as him, not very much different, but well, different from other two neighbors, as other two neighbors could easily get the employment and they also have sources of income. Well, this individual really didn't have choice, so that's why I'm not going to mention his name. Here is about what I have to say about the micro SD adapters. You can use this to plug micro SD cards into USB slots. This one here is missing, the smallest one. That's what you were not able to see. That's stolen, because there actually are 5 of them, as you see here. 5 of them that I purchased. Just a fast reminder in respect to my computer, and something I did not talk about. This thing, you see this thing here? This thing disappeared from the room. When an individual came to, I asked the internet company to come and change this thing here. To change it because it was cut all around, and also the other switch, as you know, the other switch was, this thing here was broken, so it would keep coming out, whatever. Just want to mention to you, just want to explain to you this thing here. For what I was told under MK Ultra, the case would be, according to them, this is what they suggested, is that there was something inside that would be used to do the stuff to me on the computer. I don't know if this is really possible or not. The only thing I can say is that my USB ports again are working, which is outstanding. Okay, when I was downstairs, not even USB ports worked. 3.0 USB port, a fast port in other words, did not work at all. Oftentimes, not even hard drives, external hard drives, did computer recognize. I would even lose entire 8 hours or more for a single file to get one transfer to the laptop. Basically, this is how it was. But as far as Androids, I'm still using the same system, basically, which I have developed. And that pretty much is the system of transferring files from internal memory, because cards were destroyed. You see, the cards, all the cards I had were destroyed. I cannot record anything on the cards, just like they have suggested me they would do under MK Ultra, that they would ensure that my cards would not work, that I could not record directly on the cards, but instead on internal memory, and from internal memory on the cards, and then from the cards to the laptop. Now, from the cards to the laptop, because if you connect one to the laptop, nothing is going to happen. It's not going to function. So every time, for every file, for every photo, for everything, like I said, I'm still using that same system. Thanks God I had this SD cards, readers, adapters if you like, and so I opened the telephones after I all this stuff, and I push this into this card readers, and then I transfer the files like this. This is basically sadistic stuff they have done to me, and it's sadistic stuff. Unfortunately, I'm still compelled into because the new computer which I have purchased, and it's exactly what I have predicted it's going to happen. This is the interesting part about it. Before I even purchased, if you remember in my videos, before I even purchased this last computer, I have suggested that exactly what's going to happen is they're going to give me a computer that is going to be in that type of state. Brand new computer. By the way, under MK Ultra, I was told that
The computer that I have purchased, the new computer, actually probably will belong to Alexander Vucic from Serbia, again, president of the Serbia. I don't know if this is true or not. This is what I was told. The case is going to be under MK Ultra. They also mentioned some other politicians. Is it true or not? I have no clue. But if this is the true, if this is the computer that actually would belong to one of the politicians like this, that was destroyed already before I even got one in my hands, that would be really, really beautiful to find out if that would be possible. I'm just saying the stuff I was told under MK Ultra, okay? Who did this computer belong to? I do not know. I'm just saying what I was told on MK Ultra. Look, I fully acknowledge that this stuff, it sounds like totally crazy, insane stuff. And believe me, I never ever would go into these issues if I wouldn't have proofs. And I do have the proofs about a lot of strange stuff that happened. Alexander Vucic was the one who was into this computer issues. He dreamed a lot about these computer issues together with Mitja Weber. The two dreamed about doing this kind of stuff. It was Alexander Vucic's theory under MK Ultra on how it was about this individual who didn't know, who was completely driven insane through the computer and would not know, just repeating his words, and would not know what is going on, that every time he used a new hard drive, new operating system installation, even changed computers and so on, that had a problem, exactly the problems I had with the computer, that drivers would not work from external devices and stuff like this. And finally he realized that it was actually a virus, a computer virus, that transferred from one USB to another USB, and from one computer to another computer, as he would use basically as he would use the same USB. This actually is his theory. I got this theory from him. Okay, I'm just repeating the stuff I was told, basically. Regarding a little bit more about the police and timing of these videos, this criminals timed absolutely everything per when what will happen. And I know so because yesterday and the day before yesterday, it was a holiday here, May 1st, May the 2nd. People don't, well, I think the May 1st was actually Sunday, but yeah, May the 2nd, Monday, yesterday, it's like a national holiday. They get to stay at home because they celebrate work day. It's called a work day. And so they dared to suggest that's when it's going to be already too late, and it's going to be too late, and it's going to be too late. So they use, like, I would say, a million issues to discourage individual. You know, it's always too late, and it's nothing you can do. It's too late. It can't be done, and this and that, and so on and so forth. So don't go to me in police involvement, whether police was involved or not. All this have happened under the close surveillance of the police. In continuation, I'm gonna point you out that even the stuff that I have talked during the videos, during the recording of these videos, was closely watched, closely monitored. I would not even discuss issues with my mom, and you're gonna see all of a sudden my mom appears offering me solutions for the stuff that I have discussed in English language. He doesn't speak no other language than Slovenian, not even Serbo-Croat doesn't speak. In English language, however, mother appears already with the solutions in respect to the stuff I discuss. Okay, so somebody want to say like that there are no like microcameras and stuff. I don't know how my mom would understand in English stuff I'm talking about inside of this room, almost basically to myself, and on what she follows up, and she brings the items like that go back like 10 years ago that I purchased and stuff like this, that are now actually functioning. They are now repaired and stuff like this. I mean,
but this is just another neighbor here. Yeah, when you cannot transfer the data from your Android's cameras on your computers, then stuff like this happens. You cannot believe your eyes, and you see these things are very cheap online, and you see it, you buy it, and then you say, I'm going to buy some extra too. Another factor is that Mitya Weber, my niece's husband, told me that this kind of gadgets like this one, it would be really interesting to know how this thing is, because I was basically told, as you see, it's not supposed to be like this when you buy this from it was not like this, and not supposed to be when you buy this from eBay. And what they did basically with this thing was, it came new. It was brand new. The next thing you see is what they did is they switched me the brand new one with this one here.
Regarding the multiple USB ports, Mitya Weber under MK Ultra drove with his schizophrenia issues. This criminal producer of schizophrenia, of the paranoia, maniac, if you like, suggested that he's going to integrate in all multiple USB ports, Bluetooth receivers, senders. He was like sadistically subjected me to compel me to sit in front of him and look at the multiple USB ports and stuff like this, which he would open and suggest me inside how not only for the multiple USB ports, but basically for anything that connects to the computer, mouse, anything out there. He insisted on how he's going to integrate Bluetooth receivers, senders. I admit that it's kind of strange, and it probably that might have been the case, that one of the USB keys actually suggested is a multiple card reader. That is strange, but I don't think this was done with multiple ports. I'm just saying, what kind of BS did this individual created? What kind of... This individual is extremely violent. I mean, this is not something would be wrong with the individual. This is what's wrong is with the victim, myself. What's wrong is that there is an individual out there that is actually like physically violent, that would restrain you, subjected one under the drugs, that you have to listen to his theories, whether you like it or not, on what he's going to perform, or you on your items, on your personal property, what kind of stuff that he's going to do, on what all kinds of issues are used with the computer in respect to the drivers and so on that malfunction on the computer and so on. So this is just a really extremely violent thug. They did used other issues in it, which I'm going to go into in respect to micro cameras. I'm going to talk to you about the stuff they have told me I should look for to find these micro cameras, because they have subjected me to days of torture. Multiply 24 hours with, like, I don't know how many days that they would force you, compel you in the house to see certain things as a micro camera and stuff like this. And I'm not going to say that you easily could assume that stuff like this was done, but what I'm saying is that when you're subjected to this type of treatment and pressure, first of all, under MK Ultra they create shortcuts that never ever would exist, assumptions, possibilities that one would never ever even consider, because what we do is based on what we see. This is on facts, basically on proofs. But on the MK Ultra, they create their own theories in respect to the things, and through the violence basically compel you to see what they have to say, and then they rationalize things. Then in real life, you're subjected to like enormous pressure, to all kinds of stuff that goes on, all kinds of subliminary messages, because everything that goes on under MK Ultra, and it goes in respect to the family members as well, mother and father, anything that that is meaningful, that they acknowledge, that you have a knowledge under MK Ultra. Let's say that father did something strange, or that somebody came around and it was something that would remind an individual of MK Ultra. They definitely write that down in a booklet, in a notebook, and what happens is that in real life they time absolutely everything. Whether they have a micro cameras here or not, this is not even a question. This is a total surveillance. And so what they do is, at a certain moment, at a certain time, they go and they release exactly what they want to use. Partially all this stuff I have talked about, the letters downstairs and all kinds of... There's a lot I didn't even spoke about these things. Strange things that would trigger memory on MK Ultra, because when the memory is triggered on MK Ultra, that's basically when they see that as an opportunity that you, as a victim, you're gonna see things around you as they have actually, they brainwashed you under MK Ultra, you would see them as, and that would actually bring victim into a world of mistakes. What you would do is you would start to make assumptions and see things in a wrong way, not in the way things are, but in a wrong way. That's why they do that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff they have done it. Totally the same thing with when it comes to stalking. Stalking, that's basically done based on device that is used to track you wherever the hell you go. It doesn't matter if I go to the forest, through the forest, if I go through the fields or wherever the hell I go. Absolutely the same thing applies to it. Yet they're going to use to trigger the memories on MK Ultra, because it was a lot of walking also involved under MK Ultra. They also subjected to exercise. And so absolutely the same thing. You're going to have... They created all kinds of scenarios, like let's say here this little farm that was Liebeck farm. Supposedly this was a Mossad outpost. This is what they have insisted. This is a Mossad outpost. This is where Mossad is going to be. Just watch out. Don't come anywhere even close to that. If you come close to that, they're going to shoot you. They're going to abduct you to Israel. I don't know what is it they're going to do to you. By the way, under MK Ultra, what I did was I have treated them like idiots, like mental retarded is how I treated them as. And when they suggested me that kind of stuff, instead of my complying with their demands, gestures, I just would start to walk toward that farm without absolutely any fear, just like this. On what, and that was very helpful to me, they started to yell at me and scream at me. They started to talk with one another. Now we're going to be fucked. We are going to be fucked, and this and that. We're going to be fucked. It was all kinds of panic in respect to this Slovenian MK Ultra geniuses here. And so you also learn about the stuff that they fear. Okay, and you understand the stuff that they just don't want you to do, and then it becomes obvious why they didn't want you to do that kind of stuff. Why they wanted you to fear and fear and fear, see things, run away from those things, and comply with their ideas on where to walk, the gesture where to walk, where to go, this and that. And again, in respect to the tracking device, whatever they're using, it doesn't matter where you go through the forest, fields, where there are no people, and you're going to have people that pop up and ask you, questions, funny questions, gesture you funny things, and so on. Absolutely anything and everything, so they could trigger the stuff they have done to you under MK Ultra, so you would live, in a parallel world to reality, in their world, basically. When it comes to the stalking and all this stuff, this is like a super large operation. This people, I'm gonna tell you, folks, this people invested in it. When they kill these journalists, when they do stuff like this to the people, this is not any joke. They were not cheap at all in investing in it. They invest in it. They insist, and they want you to see things their way, as they would want you to see us.
That had the sticker, and on top of that it's also cracked. Funny thing is that under MK Ultra there was an American here who guaranteed me that this is exactly what I'm going to purchase from online. This is precisely what I'm going to get. Of course I didn't get this thing, but neighbor made sure that the item he used, he would just go and switch me with this item.
Yeah, if you pay close attention to the item, you will realize that you can actually see inside of that item. But this also, Mitya Weber insisted on, having me sit in front of his own stuff and point in my face, this one is like this, that one is like that. I did not even have any of these things yet, but of course, what is going to be your next thing to do when you don't have the money, when you're compelled into this computer, and compelled to use this computer even after you already paid the money for the brand new computer? What are you going to do about it? I mean, where are you going to go from there on? So you don't have to be a genius to predict what the victim is going to do after you totally destroy everything, all his items.
Are there really any Bluetooth devices inside, any kinds of stuff that my niece's husband have talked about? And he really tried badly with the paranoia. Individual and my niece suggested me under MK Ultra that with Americans that they go visit homes, and basically what they do is they scan items like this and get the items separately and switch those items with modified items. And I did found my niece sneaking around inside the room and out and so on and so forth, but I'm not really sure if this was the system they used. Fact of the matter is the neighbor could get inside of the room as pleased, and he did all the time basically. So one of this here is still missing.
Okay, it's a funny thing. I'm just going to mention this, then no more. It's a funny thing that psychiatrists have written on the reports that actually director of this psychiatric clinic in Ljubljana, that I am violent and that I am dangerous. I mean, just wow. I have not committed a single act of violence in my entire life. All their lives about the stuff they gestured on how I have stated and so on are really nothing more than lies. But when it comes to violence, it is totally acceptable. Their world, the world of psychiatry, of the total brutality and violence, not only the torture that went in Ljubljana, but literally to grab you like this, push you in front of the stuff like this, and start to tell you, how for you to see the things, and then use this, whatever they're playing with, is microwaves, ultrasound, x-ray, whatever they are playing with. Basically you can, like this, you see, it's like this. When they start doing this kind of stuff, it's like you would turn like a radio, like you don't hear nothing, and all of a sudden it's like, and you can hear inside of your head, it's like you can feel it, that is directed energy that goes into you. And so this is not violent, okay? And it goes to extreme that your nuts start to hurt you. It goes to extreme that you start to write on the computer the message to the people that they started doing this stuff, and you just can't. You start to make mistakes because it's so damn bad. And that kind of stuff, that's not a violence, that's actually acceptable, that's peaceful, that's normal way to go. Because if you're gonna say that something like this has been done to you, it's called a schizophrenia, is what I was told. Don't even think about saying anything like this, because directed energy weapons do not exist, nor do brain implants, nor do micro cameras. Pretty much was the message. One of the main weapons, that's at least what they thought the case would be. Casting a doubt in an individual of psychiatrists. This was one of the like their main weapons, and it was not only of them, but it was also of the government officials. Was like a question like, and why would they do that kind of stuff to you? Why would they do this kind of stuff? You know, I don't, excuse me, effing know. I have no idea why would they do that kind of stuff to me. I have no clue. But why don't you go to Ukraine? Why don't you go to Russia? To the graveyards of the journalists, of political activists where they are buried, and ask them why was it done to them. They were not involved in the stuff I was involved, not even 1% as far as political issues. So why would they do this kind of stuff to me? I don't have any clue. Why would they do that to me, really?
Horrific when you cannot connect SD cards to the computer, when you cannot connect hard drives to the computer, cameras, Androids. Wow, when it takes 3-4 hours to get video transferred. Or you cannot even, when you go to the old computer and you transfer it somehow to the old computer, and then from the old computer to the USB, and from USB to the new computer and stuff like this. You folks have no idea what these people have actually done to me. I mean, there's actually no words for this stuff. This used to be good. This is a 64 gigs, each one of this. It worked to me like new, this stuff. But I'm no longer sure if either this is the same thing I used to have, or was something done to it. It basically became totally useless. But I did use this for like, well, for a very long time I did, for like maybe 3 years or something like this. And as you see, this is no brand or anything like this. I never had any problem with that kind of stuff. Always was working just fine. Everything was fine. Not so now. During the last 6 months, the individual just, I don't know what he did with it. Like I said, he promised me he would use tasers and stuff like this. So pretty much destroyed everything. This thing's here, destroyed. I did even video recorded some stuff in respect to this, how it worked when it was new, and then whatever this individual have done to it, I have no clue. Yeah. My room is now messy because I'm doing a total account of everything, so people can see basically pretty much what I have gone through. This watch I have bought in Belarus. This should be my beautiful souvenir. Interesting that I'm not going to go into that stuff. Let's leave that. That will be too much for you. Paid about, I think, 8 euros, something like this. Was destroyed within like 3 days. I'm not going to go into the issues. Let's just say the girl I was with, and I love her very much anyways. I don't resent anything. She doesn't have nothing to do with it. The thing about it is that it was, from the beginning, it was a funny thing. She just, you know, it was the stuff involved in MK Ultra too. I don't want to go into it. And it was like, it's a ghost, it's a ghost, it's a ghost. You know, she told me ghosts, ghosts, ghosts. And it was fun, it was okay, but, you know, later on, when I returned back to Slovenia, there's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 watches right there. I think there are 2 more missing from here, the same kind, of which the only one is exactly this one that I don't like, and it's precisely what I was promised. The one that you don't like will be the one that will work. The rest of it, they will not work. And yeah, they lasted about 2-3 days, and that was it. Ladies and gentlemen, the watch like this would probably last me, I say this watch would last probably even 3, 4, 5 years, maybe something like this. They last more than 3 days. That's the only thing I can say. Is it was just one watch after the other. Another thing is that's also possible. Individual promised me on how he will destroy me the batteries. So I bought a whole packs of batteries. You have seen that online anyways. Good stuff, really. And the last watch that he basically destroyed was this one here also. I placed the new battery inside, forgot one. The next thing you see, watch finished. You know what I did? The same time as I bought those Evo cards, I stopped by the local Chinese store, and they didn't even have the same quality batteries that I have purchased from eBay. And the only thing I did was I throw the brand new battery right there. She took one out, I throw right there one on. And the only thing I have to do now is I keep this with me 24/7. And it's working ever since without any problems. I'm just saying the guy is a complete whack job. He's a complete nut job, this individual. Okay? Playing with the micro cameras is, you know, with somebody like this, this is as criminal as it gets. It doesn't get more criminal. Unfortunately, Slovenian police is involved into it up to its neck. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to accent this thing. I hope it's not going to be destroyed already tomorrow. But if it's going to be, it's going to be. It's not going to be of, I don't know how much value. I hope it's not going to happen the same thing as it did to this very watch. And that was fine till I have video recorded. I created video, and the next day the father came to me and I have complained on how battery all of a sudden stopped. And when I did replaced the battery, this thing here, the glass cracked me because this is very wide window, and I think it's even like a little curved. So when I did pressed the watch, when I tried to close the watch, battery was changed. This is actually the first watch in my life that I have broke. I had a store in Miami, electronic store, where I used to frequently change the batteries, take care of the watches for other people, have made quite some money with it. Something like this never have happened to me. By the way, I believe that owner of this company, of this eBay brand, you can get this on eBay, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't ask me how I know that. This here purchased sometimes in either 2007 or 2010. The bottom line is it's at least 8 years old watch. Fakey price tag $10. Still working like basically brand new. Another watch from the year 98, probably, that makes it at least 20 years old. Watch from Miami. Again, $10, 10 US dollars watch. Working basically like new. I know what I'm doing. I know how to take care of stuff. Like I said, I have my own electronics store. This is just total insanity. Total craziness. Total insanity.
Maybe the most idiotic thing that I have seen by far. I was in Miami back then. Now in Yugoslavia, near Yugoslavia, stuff like this was, people could not get to stuff like this. They couldn't get themselves. It was hard to get watch and things like this. Sometimes in, like, I don't know what it was, maybe 2002, something like this, they have this Hollywood people here. And so they have this Hollywood people here, and I can recall that, you see, that device not recognized. Yeah, you see, this is just out of blue, just out of nowhere. Doesn't matter. They had this Hollywood people here, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and they became big on the eBay. And what became even embarrassing issue later on for the police officers here, local cops, because they were so excited about cheap watches, like dollar watches. It was like, wow. I don't know whether they were really so dumb, so stupid, or did they try to impress Hollywood people. I don't know what was it all about. It did appear at later stage that the cops alone, police officers, were embarrassed because they became excited about cheap watches like this. Apparently, if I remember correctly, this watch right here that you see, this brand, was owned by Sylvester Stallone. This is another brand where he's actually posing. I don't know about this watch. I have no idea if this is his brand, if this is his company, but I'm pretty certain that this actually is even his company, if you want to know. So I remember the stuff these people have talked under MK Ultra, and they were very excited about bands. The bands that you see, this nylon bands, this for them, for the people here, for this police officer and stuff that were involved in this thing, was like a just unbelievable thing. And then when they became disappointed with this bands, because on the sides, I remember they discussed to me these issues, on the sides it would peel the nylon and stuff like this. So they have all kinds of crazy stuff. And finally they even realized that what they were talking about, and how they pursue the things, is actually was not, I'm not going to say kind of embarrassing for the police officer, but actually the stuff like this that you discuss about a dollar watch, how nice it is, how good it is, with somebody like this, that's actually was embarrassing for them. And I remember them also saying, it was like, no, don't we don't know nothing, don't talk about stuff like this and so on. Yeah, well, I am even gonna go a little further and tell you what this watch looked like previously. Okay, so there's not gonna be any doubts about my witnessing here. This watch had hands, pointers. I think they were like wider. It was like a wider, but it was exactly this kind of style. It was like this. Maybe the housing was a little bit different too, but basically in the same price range as the other one that I have purchased. I remember this like with a great detail about this watches. Basically, these Americans, when they were here, they handled these people almost like a children. It was like you would deal with the children, not with adult people. I mean, the conduct of the police officers involved in this case, like totally unacceptable, as well as of politicians, not on the level of grown-ups, of adult people. Embarrassing.
Okay, I just found right now. I did left I don't know, adapters here, power adapters for the laptop. I got like 3 of them right here. I didn't take that with me.